Greetings, Crusaders. It is I, Marshall Bohemond, once again. And, right. So, Trench Crusade. We've all heard of Trench Crusade by now, right? Uh, and, and ultimately, it's what I like to call a pizza cutter setting. It's all edge. It's no point. It doesn't have a story. It doesn't have characters. It is nothing to really make it worth caring about, except admittedly excellent artwork and a very edgy kind of, but what if God bad kind of setting, the kind where the creators will have like factions fighting tooth and nail against hell itself and then be like, well, actually all the sides are evil. It's like, yeah, it's that kind of setting. All right. There's nothing to, there's nothing really much more to say to that. The classic case of, leftist writers who don't understand the thing they're writing. And now they've been, nailing nails into their own coffin basically ever since the infamous Discord blow up. We'll get into that in a minute. But this is the latest thing to happen with Trench Crusade, which is, let's see, after posting on the 27th, posting some, artwork, they added the following to, a post immediately after that, which says, "We won't be posting on Twitter after next week. So you can find our other social media accounts at Trench Crusade or our Blue Sky account, which I will not list off. It's if you want to read it that bad, it's right there. But yeah, that's what they've decided to do now. They are officially taking a sledgehammer to their own social media reach and going to the Praise Upon Children social media option, Blue Sky. The massive leftist echo chamber that is since it became that echo chamber, massive problems with CSEM getting reported. If you know what that means, the site's a mess, and it's a flagging site with. It's basically where leftist artists go to die. It is where they go to lose their reach, but ultimately get the pats on the back they so desperately crave. And that's what they've decided to do. And this has just been the story of Trench Crusade. I mean, Trench Crusade caught off the ground basically because of the female Custodes incident in Warhammer 40k. People were mad at Warhammer, and they were mad at Warhammer, and they caught on to Trench Crusade. So it looked neat. It looks neat. The art is great. Didn't have much of a story premise, but I mean, hey, it's like, RPG in development, tabletop war game in development and all that. So yeah, people started looking into it. It's like, hey, this is kind of interesting. I meant to be taken in by the lore at first until I really put it under a microscope and realized there's not really much to it, just a lot of Reddit edgy kind of bullcrap. But essentially people showed interest, right? There was a lot of sudden interest because of Games Workshop pushing people away. And the Discord that was hosting Trench Crusade at the time, which belonged to 28 Mag, we will go into them in a minute, decided that, they didn't want fame. They didn't want fame and success for Trench Crusade. They didn't want it to succeed because they didn't like the people who were showing interest. Normal people who just want a cool sci-fi or fantasy setting to have war games in. Now, they had to make it political. So they decided to completely ban everyone who they didn't like based on vibes. That was their choice of wording at the time. And then lockdown, and then they got so much negativity over this. 28 Mag shut down their Discord server and took Trench Crusade off it. After this, the Trench Crusade, developers put up their own Discord. And then, it wasn't long after that essentially the Trench Crusade Discord owned by the Trench Crusade devs started, banning those same people. It also probably didn't help that they got a certain clout goblin who shall remain unnamed as one of their moderators. So yeah, that was basically the story of Trench Crusade's initial fall from grace. They were admittedly able to get their Kickstarter successfully funded, but I mean, look, if anybody who is wise knows anything about Kickstarter, getting your project funded and getting your project made and turned into a business are two different things. So them getting $3 million on Kickstarter, it basically means nothing. Now, but I mean, really, when you get right down to it, we should have seen this coming. I mean, okay, let's all stop and then talk about, the origins of this situation, And the origin of the situation is 28 Mag. They were the people who hosted the Trench Crusade initially on their Discord server. Now, who are 28 Mag? Well, basically they host like extremely small scale tabletop games, like very small scale, like they zero budget kind of stuff, But they also put out publications. They put out articles. And what are some of the articles they put out? Well, let's see. 28 Mag infamously put out an article talking about how, Warhammer 40,000 needs female space marines. And they put out they did a contest like, hey, make female space marine models. And naturally, the one art they chose for their article is, of course, a feminized space wolf, because people who like female space marines just love to feminize the space wolves. Because look, much as they're a bunch of, much as I love to shit on the space wolves, they are considered by the woke left to be like, a pinnacle of masculinity, and therefore they must be undermined. Because I mean, that's the language, that's the the language and the kind of propaganda and the kind of subversion they use. So, but not only were they putting out, female space marine, pro female space marine stuff, they were also putting out articles that basically implied that, all space marines should be gay because they're in a brotherhood, and because they're in a brotherhood, that means they're gay, because 28 Mag are a bunch of, touch-starved weirdos who, can't understand that, the bonds between men are ones of, intense brotherly friendship and camaraderie. And much like C.S. Lewis said, anybody who thinks that, friendship is just an elaboration of Eros has never had a friend. So, yeah. This is the kind of propagandists that 28 Mag were. And these were the people who were essentially, backing Trench Crusade to start. A lot of their publications also shill Trench Crusade. So the Trench Crusade devs got into this knowing what was going on. It's like, I mean, they're just straight up saying, like, we're purging the it's always the woke left who are talking the most about bigotry, but then want to purge the undesirables, isn't it? So yeah, that was the whole origin of that. The Trench Crusade, was, purged of any potential fandom it could have by 28 Mag, set up their own Discord, and then they did it again with the Clout Goblin's help, because, she is one to basically coast off anything to success. If you ever find the pictures of her, shilling Trench Crusade at Nova, it's the funniest fucking thing. I won't post them here for, because, I just won't. That's a line I don't want to cross in my own videos, but you've never seen someone more bored out of their mind who doesn't want to be there. It's the funniest shit. But yeah, these were the people who, started all this, started Trench Crusade's downfall, and now Trench Crusade has decided that because they're afraid of success, they're just going to kneecap all of their reach. And this is how Trench Crusade dies. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. I mean, look, they've got their Kickstarter money. Personally, I don't think they're ever going to figure out how to make a business out of this, because that is what hosting a tabletop game and publishing, that's what it is. It's a business. I do not think these people have the business acumen or even the understanding of the industry they're getting involved in to actually succeed. If you've seen the pricing on their STLs, it costs more to get their full set of STLs than, like, it costs something like twice as much to get into a Horus Heresy by buying the full box of Horus Heresy minis. It's like they want to lean on their STLs, but they're charging more for them than Games Workshop does for their own minis, which is like absolutely absurd. And, you know, not to mention, if you actually want to get the minis, you need to get all the overhead involved in getting into 3D printing, which is not as easy as 3D printers make it sound. Believe me when I say that. Like, no hate to 3D people who 3D print. In fact, you know what? I kind of understand, especially with Games Workshop continuing to jack their prices. But it's not easy to get into, and Trench Crusade trying to lean on that while also nickel and diming everyone for the STLs is ridiculous. But yeah, look, it could have had potential if they made it, like, you know, less edgy with no point, made it a story, add characters, you know, gave us something other than just a setting and a lore treatment. But I mean, hey, look, it's their coffin to nail shut, and you know what? I will happily dance upon the grave. Well, that's it for me for now. This has been Marshall Bohemond. I hope you have a good evening, and take care, everyone. Later.